Yoshi, that's Larsa, that's Mohammed. Since 1 year of our senior project, we got to know about different things about dogs. And it was really amazing to know that there are around 500 million dogs all around the world. And in North America, there are around 70 million dogs. And it was even magnificent to know that out of 10 dogs, 1 dog is blind. That brings up to a very huge number. And like everybody knows, people love their dogs like pet, like and family. And as the dogs grow old, the first thing that affects is their vision. And eventually, they go into depression, and the life is really short because of that reason. So these are the number of blind dogs per country. That was an estimate we figured out from various sources. One of the sources was the American Human Association. So our team figured out most of that how many people would actually spend the amount on their dogs, and it came out that however the income is, they would not even think once before spending any amount on their dogs. So our team came up with a new integrated technology that would help those blind dogs to give a solution so that they can roam around very freely. And that is NOWALL.
Okay, so what is NOWALL? It's an animal self-guidance system which we designed for blind dogs to help them to move independently. It also has, it's going to track the heartbeat and the room temperature in real life. And they're going to send all the information from a website with the owner or the doctor or the dog can just monitor online. We faced one constraint about during the year, which was the temperature. Initially, we suggest you take the dog temperature, but we realized that the location of the sensor would be a problem in a dog, because we need to take the ear or the rectum of the dog, so that might be a problem. So we just changed and we recorded the room temperature instead. The hardware implementation, initially that's what we suggested. We have the Raspberry Pi as the main board, and we use the red board, which is the health board, to the health implementation. We have the sensor for the object, we have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, we have a speaker and a battery, and then that's what we, through some research, we just realized that we don't actually need the health board, so we could just take it off, and then that reduce the cost, because the health board is the most expensive device that we got in all the material, and then it then just become lighter, because it's like one less board. It's like 3 boards in the top of each other, but the rest was the same. That's actually what is inside of this vest right now. We have the Raspberry Pi with all the connections. Then we have this board just where we store the temperature, and the speaker and the jump wires to connect to the Pi. So that's the vest layout, which we have in the top. It has the object detector, which is in the side. So we're just going to take. So we're going to take around 180 degrees, like this amount of the dog, turn it off. And then we have the pocket right here. We have the Pi inside, and then the other pocket is the battery, just to connect.
So on the software, we're using Node.js on the server, and MongoDB. That was just kind of an excuse to play around with some new toys and new technology and find out how they work. On the Raspberry Pi, we're using Python because this was something that was easy for all of us to code with. It works well. It didn't cause, it wasn't too slow with the sensors and everything. This is then kept running while the operating system is up through Damien's, primarily through Forever, which is a Node.js library. And then, so as it's getting the sensor data, it is uploading it to the Node.js website, which can then show it in the graph. We use Docker, a virtual host system. It's a very new kind of lightweight operating system where it only keeps, it relies a lot on the host system. It doesn't have virtual memory. It has allocated memory within the host.
It's a virtual machine, right? It's a kind of virtual
Yeah,
machine.
it's a lightweight virtual machine. So there's very little overhead, so it's not, we're still using the cheapest server that we could get to run it. And we're running 2 virtual machines on top of it, so it's very lightweight. And the nice thing is, so if our web app has some sort of exploit that can cause, you know, it to a virus or something to get onto the operating system, what ends up happening is that virtual machine will close down, and it doesn't have access to the file system of the host operating system, and it restarts up. So we never have to worry about the integrity really of the app that much. So we also have MongoDB running in its own host. And then because, like I said, when the virtual machine closes down, it loses all traces of what made that virtual machine, including the file system. So one of the directories within the MongoDB where it stores all the data is really just a symlink to the operating system directory structure. And that is also sandboxed, so it still can't write to anything important within the host operating system. And then this is like what the application looks like. So you have the sensor data, you know, graphically displayed, and you can choose the dates that you want to look at. And then just basic user management, such as changing your password or email and things like that. There's no place to create an account on the website, with the idea being that when you order the device, that will set up your account for you, and this will prevent people from copying our project and then using our web service and having us pay for that hosting.
So the implementation process, we started off working on the hardware development, we tested it separately, then moved to the software development, and then we integrated it together to test it further. Once it passed the test phase, we moved on to expanding our vision to more options, and Laura said
So cats are in the project. So we make a research. So cats is the second most popular pet in the world, but we also learned that they're adapted to the blindness faster than dogs because they're more sensitive than dogs because of the smell. So we are adding cats. We also can use for cats, but dogs are still a priority right now. The table shows the frequency for different animals. So our device will just change the frequency, and you can just change for use for different animals. Right now, because of the university policy, no cannot test in animals, so we haven't tested any other animals. So we just cannot just say right now that it's going to work, because we can. That's why our speaker is now limited for human range. So the sound is just like for everyone, is not the sound that would work for a real dog.
So it was brought to our attention during the midterm presentation that maybe we should use vibrations instead of sound for the animal, as this was a more direct feedback. We talked to a few veterinarians and the American Humane Society, and I also reached out to a veterinarian that worked on a very similar project with another university. And they all said that the animal skins were a lot more sensitive than our skin. They're not used to having so much touch interaction, that this would cause the animals to be more fearful than helpful. So we decided to stay with the sound. Now for the sensors, we have them about on the shoulders, and anything within 10 centimeters, we consider that this is probably the dog, you know, its leg scratching its head or something like that. This is, you know, since we can't test on animals, we don't really know how this exact figure is, but it's just something that's easily configurable so as we get further into production.
Alright, so that's the real life demo right now. So as we cannot just have a dog, we just create kind of something that would be similar to the body of the dog. So you can see the heart rate right there, which should be, you have the wires and the pocket and the side, and then you see the sensor working, so you should just, maybe not.
It's easier with the hand.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, we're afraid that will happen, so we had a video. We are testing see the sound and
We have it stopping after the inactivity, as it was mentioned also during our midterm result that midterm presentation, that if the dog was just laying down, it'd be annoying for it to constantly beeping. So right now we have it beep for a set amount of time, and if the objects that it's detecting hasn't moved within a certain range, it will just stop beeping until if that range is moved.
So the only existing solution right now is this device. You can just put it around the blind dog's head, and he would eventually, every time he hits a table, it would just make him understand. But if you implement this process, there is a predefined 10-step process that every dog owner would have to go through. That is, you have to keep the room in just exact position. You cannot move the table so that the dog can easily understand and evaluate what is where. And another step is that for every different room, you have to maintain a different smell so that the dog can move around and understand and adapt the environment. And it would approximately take 6 weeks for them to understand the environment and accept the blindness. And we did a research and it showed that after a dog gets blind, this is the ratio how their thinking, hearing, mental and mobility would affect. Generally mobility and mental health, it's all deteriorating because obviously they're not confident enough to move around. When we bring our device, it reduces the human power because the owner doesn't have to be with the dog all the time. It takes around 2 to 3 weeks to adapt for the dog to
How do you
understand the
get the 2 or
surroundings.
3 weeks?
So we were doing a little bit of research online, and it says that it is easy for them to understand with the noise. That is how a dog is trained. For even for if they have to train how to roll around, that is how they're trained. They're given a candy and then make sounds, and that is how they learn. So it's faster if they use a sound to teach them anything.
Did you like for that the survey or research when you're writing off?
Yes,
Okay.
we have the references. And it increases the capability of the dog, and overall it enhances the life.
So our prime market is of course dog lovers. A lot of people in America just really care for their dog, and that's a very easy market for us. We more specifically want to drill down into those that are off at work and have to leave the dog at home, because we do have the online application that they can check what's the room temperature and the general information about their dog while they're away at work. And also working with the different animal societies, giving us feedback, helping endorse the product, and helping just get the word out there about NOWALL.
So now we come to the budget. So we have the University of Bridgeport as our prime investors, and we got around $1,000 to spend. We ordered everything we wanted, and it costed around $500. And then we started evaluating and researching how much will we actually spend if those devices are required. And after the final product, we realized we wasted around $300 because those devices were not really in use, and half of them we didn't include. So eventually the device costed us around $200 approximately. And if in future we implement it as a live project, and if we order things in bulk, then it would also reduce the cost because we were doing a research online, and if we order like 10 things together, it's much drastically cheaper.
so let's come to analysis. So we analyze how much we spend to make the project, and then how much people usually spend with dogs, and especially sick dogs, and how much they want to spend with their dogs. And we analyzed the labor cost, and then we came out with a final price that it could be around $150 to sell it in the market.
So NOWALL and All is a device that helps blind dogs. It increases their lifespan, reduces the hard work any dog owner has to do. It is cost efficient, and overall it becomes very productive and efficient. So
We still have some future expansions if actually the project goes to market. We still can implement with adding a GPS. The owner can just know the exact location of the dog. We can implement more the health part for humans. We can just put, besides of the room temperature, we actually can even try to make the person temperature and the room temperature. We still can add other features like blood pressure and stuff. And we can also implement with the website, can just be connected to the 911 if something goes wrong. You just like give a letter, just call and just make things. At the beginning of, not the beginning, in the beginning of this semester, so many people just question us why we're doing that for dogs, why only dogs, we're so specific, and why not other animals, why not like for humans. So we decided to go around campus just to ask people what they think about our idea, and then we just make a little video to show you guys if we still have time.
Before that goes.
Oh yeah, before that we have thing working now.
So yeah, this is just the general sound as it detects something. It's running a little bit slow, unfortunately. Yeah, the sonars are for some reason not sending the signal very fast back to the operating system.
That there are around 500 million dogs around the world, it was even more unknown that 1 in 10 dogs are blind. The team of NOWALL organized a survey to see the reaction of people about their device.
First of all, I must say how surprised I was about the statistic information you introduced at the beginning of the presentation. I absolutely had no idea there were so many blind dogs in the world. However, I believe idea is absolutely amazing.
So I'm thinking, as you're talking about this device, of my friend who had a dog who was really old and it ended up going blind. And it was difficult to care for the dog because it would bump into things and it had difficulty getting around, and I think that the dog would have learned eventually, using the vest, how it could be helpful. Whether it would have completely improved the quality of the life for the dog is hard to say, but I know my friend would have felt a lot more comfortable knowing that she had done everything for the dog.
I myself have a dog back home, and I think that the NOWALL project can actually be implemented in dogs and bring the maximum benefit to them.
But I think you have a market because people want to help their dogs.
I'm a happy owner of a dog, and I know how much it costs to have an unhealthy dog. And there would not be money I wouldn't pay for my dog, so I consider this idea to be absolutely great. I think it's revolutionary. I think it's worth trying and worth producing this product just because we know how strong a relationship between the dog and the owners usually are.
It's like the wearable, because a lot of people are getting into the wearable electronics and stuff, but this is something that dogs can use to their benefit and live longer, right?
I think it would have cut, the time that we were training and all the money that we were spending with all the different, things that we had to spray all over the house. It would cut that in half. So not only time would save us, but money.
I would think that should be of interest.
In this case, I think it could work 100%, so go ahead, thumbs up.
So, dogs are often used for the blind people, and we thought it was, fair that people should start caring about the blind dogs as well. So we put together a little, memento for the faculty to remember us. So if you guys want, we got these for you afterwards.
It's a gift.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Oh. Which means We don't have to ask any questions. Then student can ask. Thanks so much. And any questions? We have plenty of time.
So what happens when the battery's low? Is that a very important thing? You want to change the battery before it runs out?
Yeah, we're using a, let me just show you.
Do you have a warning system for the battery being low?
Yeah.
Do you?
We have a charger
No,
battery
it's-
like this, so you can just charge it every time you feel like. And this one is just, it should support like 8 hours straight. So you just have those normal battery. That was like, we thought it was the easiest way to keep because the Pi needs to have power all the time.
You probably need to have 2 of those
Yes, we do.
so that you can charge one, right?
Yeah, I have 2 of them.
All right, very good.
How we got the name? It's kind of funny part. But we didn't have actually a good name for it, so we just started like thinking like because we're making an object to detect object and wall, so it's just like no wall and together. You know? But it sounds good. Anything else?
It's just comment. It's not comment. Interestingly, the topics of the senior project actually the reflect the current issues. You know, the couple of years ago, there are many Kinect or something like that. But nowadays, the first 2 teams are doing the project in wearable device or IoT. So probably if the wearable device settle down to the human, the body or the whatever, then it will be the next step will be the animal or the pet or something others. So I think it's the very beginning of the step of the such a thing. Then please keep your mind if you are doing the similar business or the job. Thank you, very nice. Any other suggestion or the question? Anything? Wow, it's very big power of this. Thank you.